Hello, today I'm bringing a very short tutorial to you. It's more like a Tuesday tip for my groups. But basically it's how I prepare my pattern pieces for my bags. I used to get fed up with having to print and cut out the pattern pieces over and over, because each time I used them they got all crumpled and so on. And I used to end up binning them. So what I did was I bought myself a very nice A3 laminator, and I got my A3 laminating sheets, and I bought 250 micron sheets, which means that each layer is 125 microns, and my laminator can do anything up to 125 microns per sheet, so it can do the 250, which leaves a nice stiff card, like a feel. So what I do is I cut my pattern pieces out. Now often you get a pattern piece where you cut it on the fold of the fabric. I don't like to cut anything on the fold of fabric, because if that fold isn't very crisp and it's slightly rounded, then you're not going to get a very accurate pattern piece. You can actually end up with a slightly longer piece than you need. So I print two of the same pattern piece and join them where it says fold, and I then have a nice big pattern piece. Now this, as you can see and tell, it fitted in the laminating sheet just nicely. But when it comes to something like this, it's too big to fit in the sheet. So I print two off, and like I did with this one here, I join them together. I butt them up against each other. I don't do any overlapping. I butt them up against each other, and I join all the pattern pieces with my micropore tape. For the ones I join in here to laminate, I just use the purple glue, Elmer's glue, and I do overlap. I cut a centimetre wider on one of the pieces, and then I overlap so that I don't know if you can see, I think you can, and I had to do it on this part as well. But when I'm joining one that's once it's been laminated, I don't have the extra centimetre overlapping. They're both butting up against each other. Then I use this Transpore medical tape, which is brilliant. I buy, I think, boxes of 12 or 20 reels from Amazon, and they're very, very cheap. So I use that to join over the fold. The reason why I use this one is it doesn't, like sellotape goes tacky over time and it loses its stickiness as such, and it can leave quite a horrible stickiness. This just lasts and lasts and lasts, and if you want to take it off, it comes away cleanly. And so once I've put it on, to store it after I've used it in my A3 folder, I just fold it over, and then when I want to use it again, I open it up. So I laminate as many pieces as I can that will fit in a laminating sheet, and when I've got lots of pieces that will fit in, I do my best to fit them in as economically as possible. Whatever, you know, I try and make sure before I laminate, I don't laminate until I've got them all fitted in, and I will do my level best to be as economical as possible and use as few sheets as possible. Once it's done, it's done. And these are great to draw around because it's so stiff. They're nice to draw around or even cut round. Now the shininess can be a bit slippery on the fabric, so quite often with a bigger piece I'll use my screen machine to weight it down. On the smaller pieces, I'll use my metal washers that I bought from eBay. And I use these to weight down. The other thing that I have done before is use my temporary spray adhesive, and I just spray a small amount on the back. Really doesn't need to be very much at all. Lay it on the fabric and it will stick there long enough to use it, and it comes away cleanly. And so long as you haven't used an excessive amount, it won't leave any on the fabric. You can either wipe it off afterwards with Goo Gone or even washing up liquid, etc. You can wipe it off afterwards. If not, it will dry, and when you store it, it will be fine. And when you bring it out next time, it will have like that a matte. It won't be sticky, but it'll have a matte finish, which will help it stick onto the fabric. So, you know, you don't have to keep using temporary spray adhesive. And so that's another method of using it. I think I've covered everything. Make sure when you're joining pieces together, if they are, trying to find the piece, for example, if I'd have joined them together, these two together with the print on the same side, this would have been upside down and it wouldn't have matched with the shape. So you have to do it back to front. So whichever way you look at it, you do have the writing on one side. Sometimes if it's completely symmetrical, you can do it with the writing together on the same side. It doesn't really matter though, as long as you can see it. I have my big A3 folders that I store them in, and I store them alphabetically. I try to leave a sheet in between each pattern, so that then when I come to get another pattern that's alphabetically in between, I can just slot it in. And it does work. Every now and then I may have to move a few along. And however I store them in here, I also store them in Ming binders, the PDF documents, so that they're all easily found alphabetically. So that's what I do with my pattern pieces. It saves having to redo them all the time, and they're ready to go for the next time. Hope you found this useful, and maybe apply it to your own patterns. Until the next time, bye.